What is happening, guys? Welcome back. As always, thanks to PlayStation for a copy of the game. And let's,
No, Tuck. No, the Rippers
yeah,
put her
fuck
up
you,
for
Tuck.
bad. She didn't make it.
God damn it. We needed her. Now the digging's going to get even further behind.
Well, look on the bright side, Tuck. One less mouth to feed, yeah?
You get out there and find me some warm bodies, or there won't be any mouths left to feed. Tucker out.
Man, Tucker is a scumbag.
I'm gonna get right on that.
But anyway, welcome back. Ready to continue. I know it's only been one episode, but for me it's been like a week. I recorded the first 20 or so episodes just consecutively. Now I'm back, finally ready to continue. So as promised, we're gonna go knock out that Ripper camp. It'll be a good warm-up, get me back in the saddle in terms of combat and whatnot. While we go, let's discuss this game, because I know I've been I did a mini review of it on Twitter, and what I find interesting is there's a lot of I would almost describe them as gone throughout Farewell Wilderness, Marauders, Rippers, Anarchists. Yeah, now we know how to do this.
Who's mad at you, Wake? Boozer.
Yeah, Deke. Just feeling a little out of it,
Look, I'm on my way up to Separation Meadow. Cope says there's a Ripper camp up there.
Rippers? This far north?
Yeah, Boozer. What the hell's going on with these guys? Alki said the Rippers were looking for us, that we had a price on our head.
What the hell? How's that possible? I mean, sure, I've killed my share of crazy bastards, but I never went out of my way. Not that I remember.
Anyway, while we clear out this camp, I want to talk about
Deacon out.
this game and reviews on it, because I've seen a lot of discussion, people saying that people are being overly critical of the game, that people aren't reviewing it fairly. Other people,
Here's your fucking path.
God damn, Deacon, crazy. So anyway, I want to talk about reviewing games in general, and we're going to use Days Gone as our base. Now, when it comes to reviewing a title, there's a couple things I think that are important. You know, it's the story, the music, the gameplay,
Why you up here?
you know, the direction. Like it all weaves together. It's how everything comes together. And in Days Gone, while there are some things that are done pretty well, there are other things that are not done so well.
Assholes. What are you doing up here?
Deacon just talking constantly these days. I can't even get a word in edgewise, it feels like. But you know, so taking a look at Days Gone, I think one of the biggest things about this game, which I've mentioned, is that it doesn't really innovate at all on the current open world formula. And to elaborate on this, when you look at what we've come to expect of open world games, whether it's, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn, or it's Assassin's Creed, or it's Far Cry, or whatever it is, you know, there's a constant kind of growth, if you will. You know, sometimes it's in the form of like, oh, you know, this is a new cool mechanic, or oh, this is a new cool quest. Generally, you always want to see something. Now, this isn't necessarily to say that, you know, a game can't just, you know, a game has to have something new and fresh every time, because if that were the case, then, you know, nobody would want to play indie titles. So that's not the case. But the reality is, when you're looking at a formula and what's known and what works and what is already in the industry, you should aim to do something that's going to make your game stand out. And to that extent, I feel Days Gone doesn't really do anything. You know, we have this open world, we have the slow time, we have, you know, your pretty standard fetch quests. You know, the idea of running and attacking and taking over the camp, that's obviously nothing new. And that's not necessarily my problem with the game, but it's more the fact that we're seeing the same exact shit that we have in other open world games. The only real innovation we're seeing with Days Gone is we have the whole shtick of, you know, there's zombies around.
Come on.
And so when you look at the game, I feel it's important to rate a game. Damn, this guy's gonna be a little tricky to hit. I feel you need to rate a game against its peers, you know, because that's what this game is going up against. It's going up against, you know, the Far Cry's, the Horizon Zero Dawns, the Assassin's Creed Odysseys. And you gotta say, what is this game, you know, if I'm looking for an open world game, if I'm looking for an open world adventure, something that I can sink hours into, what does this game offer for me that another game does or doesn't? And in the case of Days Gone, it very much fits the formula we're used to, just with the addition of zombies.
He shot me.
Now, you might think, well, hey, I haven't played an open world game with zombies, and you're right, that's cool. But is that enough to satisfy the requirement of being something new and fresh? In a sense, you could almost compare it to something like Red Dead, except we just have a motorcycle instead of a horse. Now, I know that's not a one-to-one comparison, and you may argue, well, you know, Red Dead was a masterpiece, how are you going to compare it? But I don't know about you guys, but when I think about games, I like to rate them on a comparative scale. And Ben's Studio, and it being a PlayStation exclusive, I would rate this as what was supposed to be a AAA release. You know, we're looking at something that is, regardless of your thoughts on it, going to be held to the same standard as other AAA single-player oriented Sony releases. Things like Spider-Man, things like God of War, things like Horizon Zero Dawn, things like Bloodborne. You know, and all of those games, despite the faults that they had here and there, were phenomenal experiences. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, it's an open world game. It has the same, you know, like, oh, well, let's take down the camp of bad guys. Let's take down the camp. Let's do this area. Let's, you know, craft and loot. But Horizon Zero Dawn has this magic to it. You know, I don't know if it's the fact that we're going after robot dinosaurs, or the, you know, the new combat system where it's like, you know, you can shoot stuff, you can aim at parts, you can rope stuff down.
Nope, it's done.
But it has
Rivers
depth.
up here won't bother anyone ever again.
Oh, St. John, that's good news. I talked to Manny the other day, some of the others. I know you've been doing things for the camp. I just wanted to say thank you. Mark Copeland out.
You know, there's something about the magic to it. You look at Spider-Man, and I mean, given it's Spider-Man, so damn well the game better feel like Spider-Man. But you know, flying around New York City, the experience of that, looking for stuff to do, looking for crime that's going on and trying to stop it, it's an exhilarating experience. It very much makes you feel like you're fucking Spider-Man. God of War, the way it naturally tells stories as you're traveling throughout the river, the combat with the ability to upgrade and work on different things for your character, the narrative that it weaves together, all fantastic things. You know, Bloodborne, taking the you know, the formula we had with Dark Souls, but changing it up and, you know, establishing it in a way that was new, making it a more aggressive play style, making the rally mechanic. You know, there were things that these games all did that innovated upon their predecessors and made them standout titles. And that's ultimately, I think, a point where Days Gone just kind of falls short. You know, it's not a bad game. I like running around as Deacon. No, gruff white guy. Yeah, sure. I can vibe with that.
Boozer, I found it.
You think they were up here looking for us?
I think they're dead.
I don't know, Booze Man. I was too busy stopping them from cutting my eyes out to ask.
Sorry, brother. I wish I'd been there.
But you know,
Sure,
we're
yeah, I know. Peeking out.
we're essentially just going around in kind of your open world wilderness. You have kind of desert areas, you have foresty areas, later there's like a volcanic region, so I guess the fiery hot areas, and then
Deer crossing. Well, guess you don't have to be worried about traffic no more, do you?
you know, we have but you know, we have just a dude going around with his motorcycle shooting bad guys and shooting zombies, and that's what this game boils down to. And you know, it's just it's there's nothing about it that I feel really makes it stand out. I think one of the common counterpoints I've seen people saying is like, oh, well, You know, have you ever seen hordes like this in a game? Yes, actually, World War Z have hordes that are even bigger than this in a game. And given that's a multiplayer title and not a single-player standalone, you know, the point is, this isn't the only zombie game in existence. There are other zombie games that have hordes where you're fighting against a bunch of zombies. That's not a it's not a new innovating mechanic. And the point I'm trying to make with all this is, you know, while I consider all of these things to be areas where Days Gone could have improved or could have done better, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game. It's just that it is an incredibly average game. And I think not only myself, but a lot of people, you know, especially with the standard we've come to expect from the PlayStation exclusive titles, I don't feel that Days Gone meets that same standard. It does not reach that same level of just being memorable as other exclusive Sony titles. So, you know, while it's not a terrible game, I think ultimately what it comes down to is this game had, or was expected to have, a lot more potential than what it is showcased. So, anyway, I mean, there's a lot more to it. I actually have this has been a bit of a ride for me playing this game. I do not see any damn gas tanks. So I have a pretty in-depth review planned for the final episode. Like, more than likely, I may even actually do a just completely separate standalone review episode where I go in-depth into all the things that I liked and all the faults of this game. But, you know, it's definitely opened up an interesting dialogue about, you know, how and by what standards to review games. Some people feel that, you know, it's unfair to review games compared to other games. I think that's a load of bullshit, you know. When you're reviewing action movies, you compare them to similar action movies. If you're looking at, you know, movies that are based around romance or comedy, you look at those peers. It's only natural that we compare stuff to its peers. Nobody's comparing nobody's comparing Days Gone to some indie title that just came out. We're comparing it to single-player, exclusive, story-driven experiences that are in the same exact sphere as it. And if it can't stand up against its peers, then where does it fall besides just, you know, a generic, hey, let's run around and shoot zombies in this cool open world. So anyway, just an interesting little discussion on things, because, like I said, it's weird, man. Like, even in the YouTube comment sections for these videos, there's a lot of people asking, you know, what are your thoughts on the game? What do you think? And almost every time I see someone comment that, there are two opinions that instantly pop up. You have the people that are like, oh my god, this game is so much fun. It's the best thing I've ever played. And then you have people that are like, holy shit, this game was a pile of garbage. I wouldn't pay $5 for it.
Got another job for me. Okay, I'll swing by. Deacon out.
Which, personally, I think both of those are the wrong opinion. Yes, you know, your opinion is your own. That doesn't necessarily mean it's good. The phrase I like is, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, and most of them smell like shit. Not what I meant to do. There we go. It's a good recovery for almost nitrosing myself off a cliff.
Hey, me again. I know it doesn't make any sense me coming up here since you were never here, but what the hell? Where else am I gonna go? Craziest thing, I found this kid. Well, okay, she wasn't a kid. She must be 15, 16, something like that. reminded me a lot of your little sister. Anyway, she had survived all this time on her own in that little town north of Belknap. You know, you remember the one? Little church that we got married in because you wanted someplace rustic. So this kid, Lisa, I did what I'm paid to do. I brought her in, and I mean, how long was she going to last out there anyway? I took her to the hot springs, and I know you don't like Tucker. Well, you wouldn't have liked Tucker, I mean, but she runs a tight camp. She keeps her people safe. Only she didn't. The Rippers came, killed some people, took others. They took Lisa. I got her back, but I don't know. She was messed up before, and I think the Rippers might have gotten into her head. Look, it's not that I give a shit. I don't. She's got to take care of herself like everyone else, right? I guess I just kept thinking, if it was your little sister, what would you think of me? I should have left her where I found her. Okay, I gotta go. Boozer's still... Well, I don't think that he's getting any better. His arm's pretty messed up, and I don't think that there's much more that I can do for him. Okay, bye.
Should have left her. Passed. Alright, and now we are on, well, let's see. Hope didn't he have protecting the weak? I'm tempted to shoot on over there and see what Cope has for me. But we're probably going to continue the main quest in the next mission. But, you know, on all this talk about, you know, reviewing and my opinion of the game and you know, anyway, while I do plan on doing a full review towards the end of the game because I like to take in the entire experience and take my time with it, despite the fact that that's kind of counterintuitive. By that point, you know, most people have already bought the game or not. So, just to put it out there, as I mentioned on Twitter, if you want my score of the game, I would put it at 7 out of 10. I think the game falls short on a lot of areas that it could have been a lot better. There's a number of little bugs, like, you know, areas where, like, perfect example, a couple episodes ago, where I couldn't repair the bike, and all I had to do was hold the button to repair the bike, but the prompt was missing. You know, this series has not been shy of audio desync, which isn't actually my recording software, it's just a goddamn game. What's happening is anytime that I get done playing, which I'm sure many of you also do this, you know, you'll go like this, and you'll go power, and you'll turn off your PlayStation, put it in rest mode. Apparently putting this game into rest mode causes a desync, so now what I've started doing is every time I'm done recording for the day, I will outright completely quit the game out, and then turn off the PlayStation, and then after the fact, relaunch the game when I restart the PlayStation. Which that's, you know, that's a technical issue that you would think would not occur in a AAA title. You know, various audio things, like there's times where Deacon's talking and it sounds normal, and then there's other times, like when Lisa was on the bike, and it literally sounds like he's fucking shouting into my headset. I get it, you're trying to yell at someone on the back of your bike, but, you know, let's keep things in the realm of what we're doing here. We're trying to showcase a game experience, not deafen your player base. So, for an open world title and for what it was trying to do, I think it did a decent job, which is why I gave it 7 out of 10. And ultimately, I think if you're looking for something to pass the time and you enjoy open world games, I think you'll probably end up enjoying Days Gone. But if you're going into this game thinking it's going to be a knockout hit that's at the same tier as something like Horizon Zero Dawn or Spider-Man in terms of open world, I think you'll be sorely disappointed and you'll probably turn it back in looking for a refund. So, like I said, I'll be doing a more in-depth review towards the end, but since this will likely be a pretty lengthy game, I figured it wouldn't hurt to throw a Midway review in, especially since we were talking so heavily about reviews in this episode. Yeah.
Should look for fuel.
We're already here, Deacon.
Shit.
Tried to cut through the tree.
It's Deke. Let him in.
Deacon, hey.
First.
And I think I have all the bike
Deke, good to
upgrades,
see you.
but just to
Hey,
check.
Manny.
Got it, got it, got it, got it. Trust level 3 is the alternate flame, and then the alternate tire, which does nothing. Okay, so yeah.
Alright.
Basically done on that front.
Deke, how have you been? Damon, how's it going?
Fill
That'll last you.
ammo.
Now that's what I'm talking about. I'll fix that gun up for you, nice and good.
Started tearing at his throat.
That all you need?
I didn't stick around to see what
Okay.
Alright.
I'm here if you need any.
What do you got for us, Copeland?
St. John, I got a job for you.
Hope.
You want Manny to work on your bike? Only one way that's gonna happen.
I gotta do runs for you. Yeah, I heard you.
I need you to deal with a marauder camp near those burned out shacks along the Cascade Highway. You know where I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know it.
Radio me if you want to know more.
So just another... So it seems like the majority of his missions are go into the woods and take down camp of bad guys. Storylines. The last one was a marauder camp, now it's
Good to
just
see you, Deke.
camp of bad dudes.
Hey, Damon. How's life? I can fix this. Yep.
It also bothers me that the bike goes to 99%, and to top it off at 100% always requires one additional scrap. Like, why? Why can't you just go 100%? Why does it need to be 99? That's bullshit, game. Bullshit, and you know it. Anyway, let's go, we're at 24 minutes. I mean, do we really want to go after another camp? I don't know. Nah, I don't think so. Instead, let's continue on with Gear Up for the Ride, the main story quest. So we'll wrap up here, and then in our next episode, we'll continue on with Boozer's storyline.